This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
Bryan Kohberger making an appearance in court recently and looking a lot more confident, I would say, than he has in the past. I think we'll start on that. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI Special Agent. What was your take on Mr. Kohberger when we saw him in the courtroom just the other week? I think a lot of people pointing to the steepling of the hands and looking very confident, not just the staring down that he had been doing in the hearings of days past. And if this is confidence, I guess why?
Well, I will say jail is serving him well. He looks better than ever. Than any time I've seen him on tape in any other instance. He's looking dapper and he's looking good and he's looking confident. You know, it's all coming down. He had a small victory with the IgG, with the genetic genealogy test result. At least the fact that the judge is saying, listen, I'm going to take it. I'm going to look over everything and then make a decision from there on what will be given to the defense. Now, many people are very upset saying, listen, this everything the prosecution has, the defense should have in any sort of case. But I'd like to draw your attention to this analogy, and that is informant information. In-camera sessions occur all the time with judges where the defense says, I want everything this informant has ever said, because the informant is used in their case. Mm-hmm. And so you go in and you say, listen, 90% of what this informant gave has nothing to do with your client. So we're not going to give that information. A judge, every time I've been involved, has upheld that. And they said, listen, you only get what the informant said about your client. Mm-hmm. We're not going to give you what they said about everybody else. Just imagine all the people that would be implicated and all the issues that would cause. That's what's happening with the IgG situation. There was a lot of information that was under warrant that came into the prosecution that has nothing to do with Bryan Kohberger. It's just all this genetic genealogy from the 23andMe or Ancestry websites that was given over, that they ferreted through until they got the match that led them down the road to Bryan Kohberger's father, and then, of course, ultimately Bryan Kohberger. That line, I totally get that they would want to see the, DNA and how that was followed and linked. But you don't need every Tom, Dick, and Harry that, use that website, use that organization, Ancestry or 23andMe. You don't need all of that information turned over to them. It's irrelevant.
Isn't there some questions, though, about how exactly they came about making that conclusion? Obviously, facts are facts. If the DNA matches, it matches, and how you got there. But certainly, it's up for discussion to take a look at. But I mean, it's a fact of what it is. But are they more so trying to go down a road of you violated something here to get to your conclusion, and because of that violation, more on the technicality end of things, that's going to disqualify the actual answer, even though the answer is correct, really can't be argued with. It's DNA, it's genetic information, but you got there by doing something that you shouldn't have.
Well, I think as long as they release the road they took to get that information, it's, not an issue. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the judge wants to take a look at it. And if he sees any nexus at all, then he's going to have it turned over. And who knows, he might just say, turn it all over. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, that's going to be a nightmare in and of itself. They've already got over 50 terabytes of information to look at, add a couple more terabytes to it. Yeah. I don't know if it would be terabyte worthy, but it's going to be a lot of information for people to go through. So we could just look at the trial being 6 years down the road now instead of probably 3. Yeah. It's a lot of information for them to go through and really likely find nothing. So.
And when they're focusing on the genetic DNA information, the IgG info on the defense of Bryan Kohberger, is that like a road that they should be going down or want to go down? Because couldn't that also backfire at them, really just reconfirming that, yes, this information very much does point at your client?
For me, Tony, at the end of the day, they swabbed his cheek with a search warrant, and, he is the donor of the DNA on the sheath. So I find it a little bit unimportant at this point. But of course, a lot of people think that is the only way they would have found Bryan Kohberger, but that's just not true. They had the vehicle information, and they were searching the records at Pullman in terms of Elantris. And so they would have gotten to him, most definitely. I think, aside from the DNA leading to the father. In other words, that made it more expeditious. But I see your point, and it is going to lead to the dad, and it is going to lead to Bryan Kohberger. But there was more than one way to identify Bryan Kohberger.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.